Boom! Alright, it's recording.
We're recording?
Realshit Dumbshit!
It's the Deep Cuts, Volume 3!
Deep Cuts seems to be all we do now.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Sorry about that.
But there's a lot from the week to go over, to have some fun with. I don't know how long this camera's gonna work for, but we're gonna try.
We're gonna go until we can't.
Alright, let's get right to it. What's your real shit story to kick
So,
off?
the first real shit story is... the inquiry by the CIA affirms it spied on the Senate panel.
Yes.
So there was an internal investigation by the CIA. CIA has found that its officers penetrated a computer network used by the Senate Intelligence Committee in preparing its damning report on the CIA's detention and interrogation program.
Yeah, which is great. With that, well, Obama had a sort of a State of the Nation kind of thing. Mm-hmm. What is that? State of the Nation? Yeah.
State of the Union.
State of the Union. That's the one.
Yeah.
I think it was officially, but he was just covering a lot of stuff that's going on.
Yeah, he had a speech where he covered just a number of topics. One of them was this.
Yeah, crazy ass soundbite where he's like, "We tortured some folks. We tortured some folks."
But it was cool. 9/11.
I mean,
was the justification
he doesn't
for it.
quite say it. He's like, we have to respect what a hard time they had. There was a lot of shitty, horrible, hard stuff for choices to make, and we tortured some folks. But it's crazy to hear a head of state. I'm gonna break this chair. I'm gonna switch it. Even if he wasn't the one who was in office,
right?
It's crazy to hear him be on national TV, head of the country, going, "We tortured some folks."
Yeah.
That's where we've come to with it. I'm gonna get a new chair.
Get a new chair.
Also, though,
but I find it refreshing though. Honestly, I'm trying to think. Has there ever been a head of state that's admitted to torture rather openly?
This is such a torture chair.
No, I'm sitting.
It's aluminum.
These are cool. I wish we had these on one of our shoots.
I think it's interesting to have him also though, because under Obama, they shut down torture. They predominantly cracked down on torture. We're not gonna torture our people anymore. But the extrajudicial killing program, the drones and the night raids into countries that we're not in, and targeted killings. Our assassination program in the CIA has expanded immensely under him. That's the way we do war now under Obama. So it's I just think that's interesting that he's a liberal president or whatever, but his foreign policy, his military foreign policy is brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just an interesting paradigm where you're just okay, it's cool. We can't torture people because that's horrible. That's against Geneva Convention, blah, blah, blah. But we are willing to kill heads of state of other places.
Well, and not just heads of state, it's just anybody who gets on the list. Have you seen Dirty Wars by Jeremy Scahill?
No, we've talked about it.
Watch Dirty Wars. It's on Netflix now, I think. But Jeremy Scahill is the guy who wrote the book about Blackwater and was the one who brought to light and ultimately got them processed in courts. Mm-hmm. Blackwater for their massacres in Iraq because they just had carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they wanted, basically.
Right, and that actually forced them to change their name so they could continue doing what they wanted to do. By the way,
yeah, Z. I think they're called Z, XZ or something crazy like that, which is hilarious. I have a whole thing about it's how good America is at war. Dirty Wars basically is about the expansion of the extrajudicial killing programs in the United States. How it started basically with if I'm not mistaken, the 52 card deck in the invasion of Iraq, which was every card was somebody that we wanted to kill or capture.
Right.
From Iraqi generals and stuff like that. And it started as that, and it just kept adding to the list and adding to the list. This terrorist leader, this militia guy, whatever.
So the deck was always full.
Now it's over 1,000 people,
right.
And that's all drone strikes, and it's just really scary shit. They say that the people in Afghanistan and Pakistan call the SEALs and the special forces guys who carry these out. They call them the American Taliban because they have these big beards, and they don't like the Taliban either. The Taliban are really scary people who hurt everybody, and that's what they perceive these American Taliban as, the special forces and stuff. And they do these night raids and they kill people who they're not supposed to kill. And then what they'll do, because they're not supposed to be in these countries, this one account is by this family, they literally take out their pocket knives and dig out the bullets, so there's no evidence that they were there killing civilian families by accident. Anyway, so yes, CIA spied on them. But I guess part of my point is just what do you expect? The CIA, we cracked down on torture, but allowed them to do all this other crazy shit. How do you not expect them to be a totally rogue agency who does whatever the fuck they want?
Well, that's sort of in their mandate, almost.
That's true. That kind of
it's part of the reason why, when you'll see budget items for it's like hack comedian fodder where it's just like, they spend $500 on a hammer, and I'm
right.
yo, you know what they're doing? They're burying budget items. Like,
Totally.
that's R&D for the next stealth bomber. That's, their torture budget on Diego Garcia. Like, just because we don't officially endorse torture on American soil doesn't mean we don't ship people to other countries
where you're not,
that are
rendition and stuff.
Let's send it to Turkey, see what happens there.
Well,
because
also,
Turkey's pretty liberal on that sort of thing. That's the way you get around, like, we don't officially endorse torture, but
proxy wars and shit.
Absolutely.
People will be like fun. Also, the thing about the $500 on a hammer just has to do with basic corporate business practices, which is like, in a division, if you don't spend your budget, you lose your budget.
Sure, absolutely.
So the way you keep expanding your budget is like figuring out ways to spend all your money.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, that's one of their common tactics they use to cover R&D they can't officially talk about.
That too.
Yeah,
but I just mean, like, also, like, that's how you keep your funding.
Absolutely.
You're like, well, we needed all of it last year. We're barely making ends meet.
You do that in education. You do that in advertising.
Just in corporate America. Advertising. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right. So, well, there you go. That's CIA. We tortured some folks. Obama talking about that.
Yes.
Testing. All right. Let's do a dumb shit. Let's switch over to something dumb. What do you want to do?
Let's talk about Bieber. Let's talk about some Bieber.
Talk about Biebs. Orlando Bloom and Justin Bieber got in a fight. Orlando Bloom
very big air quotes or.
I was gonna say this Bieber Bloom brawl because babes, bro.
Alliteration for the win, everybody.
In Ibiza.
In Ibiza.
Live from Ibiza.
I think everybody had
Orlando Bloom, Justin Bieber.
Live.
All of the hits. Get it?
BBC Radio 1.
The hits.
No, I got it.
If you're not here, you're not anywhere. Alright. Stupid as hell. I actually kind of love the backstory on it. Like, I'm not into super.
Bring us up to speed on
TMZ crap. It just has to do with, like.
Come on, clever host us, man.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Some clever TV. Totally clever. Every Tuesday on Clever TV. It's like. I think it started because at the time Orlando Bloom was married to Miranda Kerr.
Yes.
The Victoria's Secret model.
Yes.
And apparently Bieber and her got very close. Mm-hmm. That's the Victoria's Secret show.
Were they canoodling?
They were canoodling. And the rumors are that they totally banged one out.
Nice.
I mean, that's what they say. Or whatever. And then... Did a fan just turn off? I'm going to see if the camera's still working. I don't know what that means.
Okay, you do that. It could be my fan.
Oh, it's totally going.
Yeah, dude. Look at it.
That's dope.
Leave it in.
So basically... So then later... Orlando Bloom was seen canoodling with Selena Gomez when they were off because that was Bieber's ex.
Yeah.
So it's like they're both like revenge doing each other or something like that. And
revenge canoodling.
And they're revenge canoodling.
By the way, the Revenge Canoodle is playing Coachella next year.
I love Revenge Canoodle.
Yeah.
They got some great new electro pop hits.
EDM, electro pop,
Revenge
Canadian.
It's kind of like a dub. It's kind of like a dub pop.
Dub pop meets
electro dub pop soul,
death metal soul,
and they have that, and then they have that sort of math.
They
rock.
have the blast beats, sort of like Dream Theater a little bit.
This fucking Revenge Canoodle.
Yeah, check 'em out.
That just makes me think of pool noodles. Canoodle. It always makes me think of like those floppy.
Well, maybe that's
noodles.
like,
I mean, that's what it's like. That's like when you canoodle. It's like you're just like,
hey.
So after they canoodled, and apparently Bieber like as a way, like some people say he instigated it, like saying that he's like, wait, your wife.
Wait, you're trying to tell me that Justin Bieber is
like a dickhead?
It was a dickhead?
Somebody? No, I don't believe it.
This is out of character. This is totally out of character.
Never did that. So he did that, and then there's I don't know. The video's like stupid. It's like it looks like a sort of vague jabby kind of thing, but the bodyguard's right in there.
He's just like. Bam!
The bodyguard's right in there with his spear.
Yeah.
To defend
the Tony Blauer
spear
technique.
And outside 90. Outside 90.
Hey, I'm trying to get inside.
No,
come on.
Stay off.
Come on, I'm trying to.
There's no money in my ATM.
Come on, give me your ATM.
There's no money in my ATM. So that
We're getting really inside baseball, by the way.
Yeah, that is super. Look up Tony Blauer's spear system.
Yeah.
Flinch response. All right.
Always moving forward.
So anyway, and then my favorite thing was Bieber apparently posted a picture of Miranda Kerr on his Instagram and then quickly deleted it.
Yeah.
Not before it had like 92,000 likes.
Of course.
But just, that's hilarious.
I know, I'm just surprised that he's doing such dickhead shit.
I'm so surprised.
So out of character. But at least, it is a fair fight. Because I guess Orlando Bloom is a 120-pound, 37-year-old man.
Legolas. Oh yeah, and he's like a grown-ass man.
That's my other problem with this, is that he's a grown-ass man.
What's he doing with Selena Gomez? What's he doing with Justin Bieber?
It feels like weird.
Gross.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Well, he is grown. Like, be a man.
I guess.
Okay. Let's move on.
Let's move on to a real shit, also a terrible brawl situation, but nothing to laugh about.
Oh, shit.
Ray Rice, right?
Ooh, Ray Rice. Yeah. So I know we don't do a lot of sports here, but Ray Rice was suspended by the NFL, by Roger Goodell in the front office of the NFL for only 2 games after dragging his unconscious wife out of an elevator. And there is a pretty weird, crazy, unsettling video of that.
I'm gonna put this time around so we just keep track of moving.
Yeah. And it's really... It's disturbing.
She's totally unconscious.
Totally out.
We watched the video, or the one that they put out, because there's apparently a video from inside the elevator they haven't leaked.
Yeah, I heard today from Rich Eisen that he was saying that there is video that hasn't been released from inside the elevator.
Who's Rich Eisen?
It works for the NFL Network. He's one of their lead guys.
Yeah, so, but if the video's she is fucking out.
Yeah.
And just
it's not groggy, it's not it's
she's a body on the ground.
Yeah.
And he's dragging her out of the elevator. This other guy comes up and is literally scratching his head,
being
looking at them.
What the fuck could have happened? He's just I don't know, man.
And he gets suspended for 2 games.
Whereas
what was you had to think? You're like, if he had weed.
Yeah. So what's funny is the drug suspension policy within the NFL. Let's say you test for, I don't know, let's say PEDs. Or recreational drugs, you get suspended for 6 games, while it's domestic violence against women, 2-game suspension, moving on. And I don't know if it's because Ray Rice has been known as such a good, likable guy in the past and doesn't doesn't have an official history of this sort of action, or what. But I was really sort of surprised to see Goodell go so lightly on this issue, where the NFL has such a problem with their athletes committing violent crimes outside of the league.
Yeah, I think. Well, you know what? I bet I wouldn't be surprised. I'm trying to figure out what the logic would be.
Wasn't there? Who was the guy who shot himself in the crime?
Yeah, I know, right? In the leg. Plaxico Burress.
Yeah. Didn't he? He was out for an entire season, wasn't he?
But that's a whole.
But that's self-inflicted.
But that's self-inflicted. That's a gun in public and stuff. What I think is shocking is I think this goes back to the Yes All Women stuff and things like that. It's if a gun thing is just gang violence or something serious or whatever. But it's you fucking knock out your wife
unconscious
in public, like a floppy dead body.
Yeah,
and it's no one gives a shit.
I don't know if you saw the comments on ESPN by Stephen A. Smith, who was sort of well, both parties were culpable. He got suspended, by the way, for his comments. But essentially, he was well, they probably both played a part in this. And I'm are you fucking high?
I've been in horrible relationships where you get really toxic with each other. Mm-hmm. But there is no excuse for certain thresholds being crossed.
Yeah.
There's just none. You know what I mean? I understand the idea that you could make each other so crazy and feel awful to the point of wanting to die and stuff like that.
Sure.
Or hurt something. But you just don't. There's no forgiving. Or there's just no way that you go well, you know what? That's their domestic business. They just incited each other to a thing and blah blah blah. And unless you're both MMA fighters in the same weight class.
Okay.
If Ronda Rousey, what's she fighting at 135?
She fights at 135.
So if Ronda Rousey starts dating a guy who's 135, fights at 135.
Okay, I fought at 135 at one point.
If you and Ronda Rousey end up in an intense relationship,
right?
That's just how you settle stuff.
We throw toasters at each other, it's that crazy in love.
You're throwing toasters, crazy in love.
Yeah. Now at that point,
then she'll probably armbar your ass.
Oh no, absolutely. She'll judo toss the shit out of me.
You'll be in so much trouble.
But it would be fair. It would be a fair fight.
I mean, this is not funny. This joke I'm gonna make. It's not a joke. But this is the thing we say. If 2 gay guys get in a fight in domestic violence, and they're similar size and fighting ability,
yeah.
Did you and your buddy just your good friend get in a fight, or was it domestic violence? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Like, we're not gonna edit that out, by the way. Oh, hey, should we move on to some real shit?
DA is gonna play this case in court.
I can only imagine they're gonna bring me into court and be like, Mr. Thomas, what was the first sign that Mr. Sleeper was having?
I mean, I will. No, I'm not gonna talk about it anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I'm the one who's gonna get hurt before anybody else does. It'll be self-inflicted wounds for sure. I shouldn't say any of this stuff.
Let's not talk about.
Let's talk about something dumb. Oh my God, we are gonna talk about these cooking videos.
Are we talking about? Yeah. Let's talk.
Auntie Fee.
Auntie Fee.
If you haven't, I'm sweating like a fucking pig.
Me too.
It's so hot. If you guys haven't seen Auntie Fee, I'm gonna see if this is still rolling. It's the first time using this camera.
So if you guys have not seen Auntie Fee, Jarrett,
it's saying really low battery now.
All right,
but let's just see how long it goes.
Yeah. So the Auntie Fee videos are amazing. Jarrett just showed them to me, and essentially they're the most budget. That's the nicest way I'm putting it of cooking shows.
They're so good. She's so good. She says that she was a crackhead and that she was in prison for 10 years.
The first video I saw was just sort of like. She's the angriest cook I've ever seen.
She gets so mad at her camera person,
who, by the way, is shooting vertical style.
Vertical phone camera.
Yeah,
it's genius.
Like, it's a very specific style. I'm going to say it's a choice. I'm going to say it's a cinematography.
I think,
it's a DP choice.
All one take, all under about 4 or 5 minutes, and she makes like very like kitchen hacky cheap food, and it's amazing. Her advice is amazing. Her anger is amazing. Her vulgarity is amazing.
Her anger and her vulgar speech patterns are amazing. And I mean, every other, like, she is just like...
She's got like 500,000 views on one of her video in a couple days.
Yeah.
They're incredible. Go watch them. She's going to get a book deal at the least. She should get a show.
Someone's
really should give her a cooking show.
But I guess she's had her list of haters, by the way, because, you know, who is it? Is it her daughter or her...
Oh, yeah. It looks like her... I think it's her niece, because they keep referring to her as Auntie Fee, so I'm guessing that they're...
She may not have had kids because she was in the pen for 10 years. And
she screams it from off camera.
She's
that
like,
if her haters,
in the pen.
Tell him I was a crackhead. Tell him I was in the pen. But it's a triumphant story because she's like doing well and
she's a hustler too, man. I was telling Jerry, like, watching the videos where she definitely has that hustle muscle because she is out there trying every hustle to make ends meet. She's got a nice stainless steel kitchen.
The kitchen's it's a beautiful kitchen.
Yeah,
she's cooking.
I mean,
and she's like, one of them is how to feed 7 people for $3.35.
Exactly.
It's like very. If you're like a college kid and don't give a shit about nutrition, check it out.
That's
some
a good
great
video.
ideas.
If you are a shopper at Smart and Final,
great recipe for First Street Chicken. She's got some interesting perspectives on spice. She doesn't believe paprika does any seasoning just for color.
It's literally an additive for color, which
not true. But partly, I mean, it's definitely that's the thing you use it for, is to add a cool, nice color.
You have never had chicken paprikash.
Chicken paprikash is a Hungarian, very special. Goulash.
The goulash.
All right, so whatever, it's great and it's funny and you should watch it. Let's do another real shit, I don't know what to do. There's so many things.
Let's do Ebola.
Ebola? All right, well, let's mention. We should just give a brief mention. We already talked about Gaza and Israel, but 72 hours ceasefire broke down after 2 hours.
Shocker.
It sucks there still, and it's the same goddamn bullshit that it's been for 40 years.
At least.
So let's just move past that, I guess.
Yeah, we're short on time.
Horrible, depressing. Ebola. Let's talk about Ebola. So there's this horrible outbreak of Ebola in Africa currently. I think it said 700 people have died so far in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea.
But it's mostly focused in Liberia. It's sort of like where this thing is like, the government is just like, this thing is beyond our control. Like, they're like, yo, this is a UN disaster zone at this point.
Right. The CNN article talks about basically 2 Americans who are over there with some Samaritan program are infected, and they're being flown back to Atlanta, which is where the
CDC is.
CDC is, right?
Yeah.
The Center for Disease Control is located in Atlanta. So they say it's a new version of the pathogen that this thing hasn't been, which is always terrifying to hear. Some people are fucking freaked out about this idea.
Are you trying to say?
This is the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
This CNN article quotes Alex Jones of Infowars.com. I love that shit. I love reptilian shapeshifter stuff. I love chemtrail stuff. I love anything about HARP. I love all of it. I love 9/11 truth stuff. I think there's kernels of shit that is in there, or whatever, kernels of shit.
Yeah.
You get this vivid image.
Shit. Either one.
But like,
the fact that
it is not a reputable thing.
He is a performance artist.
He's like a Rush Limbaugh, I feel like.
Yeah.
He's like a Bill O'Reilly, who half of it is this cynical thing they're putting on.
Right, and they just look at it like a business because Alex Jones makes like $10 million a year making things up. And it's just so weird, though, to see a reputable news source like CNN, historically, up until the last couple of years, has largely been one of the most reputable news sources on the planet. But now
since like the fucking Malaysian Air thing fiasco, where they just talked about nothing for like weeks because it got ratings, it's just getting gross.
Yeah, and the fact that they're going to this guy, citing Infowars, by the way.
Yeah, which is nuts. And well, because they start with this notion that like it's just inciting fears online. Which is fair. It's like, to talk about how Twitter and things, those are legitimate things to talk about, to gauge how people are feeling, to say like people are freaked out about bringing this Ebola to the United States. But it's like fucking Infowars?
It's like citing me as a news source, being like, hey, Zika thinks that like Ebola, you know what?
You don't believe in reptilian shapeshifters.
You don't know that, man.
I mean, I kind of do also. I don't know. There's weirder things that can happen, maybe.
I've seen some videos online.
I've seen some crazy-ass videos online. They're so good.
Yeah,
there's a great one of
Have you seen Obama licking his eyeball?
Have you seen... No, there's one of Obama and his Secret Service agent is super fucking reptilian. His holographic technology fails.
Yeah.
Check it out. All right.
We'll try to link it.
It's great, too, because the voice... there's voiceover, and it's all robot voice from the computer. And it's like, watch the Secret Service agent in the front. It's like that. It's the creepiest... It's watch it in the middle of the night, preferably when you're high.
It makes a lot more sense.
So great. Nice. But anyway, fucking... According to Infowars, he's saying, like, this is what's going to happen. An Ebola outbreak in the United States, that's how the government's going to put draconian authoritarian control on us.
This is how it starts.
We're all going to end up in FEMA camps.
The UN, black helicopters, the New World Order is happening. It's coming over the hills. By the way,
tell you what, speaking of DA playing this motherfucking tape in court, if that does happen, I apologize, and you were right all along.
I'm sorry, you were right the entire time. We now welcome our new reptilian shapeshifter leaders.
And also, I'm fully confident I'm going to see societal collapse in my lifetime. I just think it's going to happen. So maybe it's going to be this. Sure, why not?
Speaking of which, weren't we talking? I swear to God, we had a news story talking about societal collapse, or maybe this was it, where it was just like, like you look at countries like Liberia, who are just like the government admits shit's out of control. Like, can you imagine?
It is Mad Max in Africa, in like West Africa. I think it just is.
Well, I think certain parts of Russia are like that too.
I think so. I think you know what? I think that's totally right.
My friend who's part Russian was sort of like, Russians are the white trash of like Europe. Like they're just sort of like it's a free for all. I know that's sort of been our theme for the last couple.
I know. I mean, like, and speaking of all this stuff, I don't have the numbers. Like, I should look up. But like, while this Gaza stuff is going on, Syria is still people are getting killed in like the hundreds. I think thousands still. Like, so that's still Mad Max. Like, it's like
Egypt is still like teetering on the brink too. By the way, one of my buddies is shooting a big project over there. They're scheduled to, and they're thinking about scrapping the entire project just because they're like, it's not exactly safe to shoot a feature film in the middle of Egypt right now. Yeah. And it seems like small potatoes, but it's just like, it's one of those things where you're just like, oh man, we totally want to shoot by the pyramids, or we want to go visit, or we want to like go see like important pieces of history. And it's like, no man.
Can't do it.
Can't do it anymore.
RPG time.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more real shit just that's kind of positive. This was also mentioned in Obama's speech and stuff. U.S. job growth. Over the last 6 months, it's been consistent for 6 months. More than 200,000 jobs have been added to the economy each month for 6 months straight. This hasn't happened since 1997, so it's good.
Yeah, no.
Here, Zeke, I don't know where that ended.
None of us. We have no idea where that ended.
If it ended abruptly, it's because I ran out of batteries and we're learning, and now there's no more time to film.
Real shit, dumb shit, real deep cuts. Number 3, subscribe and shit.
All right, see you guys next week. Real shit, dumb shit. Bye. That was aggressive.